pops up with devastating consequences.
I thought, this is it.
A dad bites off more than he can chew.
There was nothing wrong with the fry, but it got stuck.
Fishing. The hunter accidentally becomes the prey.
I just thought, I cannot pass it here a minute away.
And the keen gardener takes a near fatal tumble.
How does the damn trimmer stuck in your diet?
Meet ordinary people whose lives are turned upside down by extraordinary encounters. With body invaders.
My first thought was he can't die.
Are we really seeing what we're seeing here?
Objects which invade every part of the human body.
It was as though a large Christmas tree was growing out of her upper body. Pretty much saying our goodbye words.
Disaster strikes.
This actually doing hands on screen. Do what I...
Emergency so unusual, doctors throw away the rule book.
When I saw this, that was when I said, I'm gonna get that out of there.
Solve medical mysteries.
There, sure enough, was something that really did not belong in anyone's heart.
And come up with ingenious solutions.
It is almost never used in ear, nose, and throat, head and neck surgery.
In situations in which one false move could prove fatal.
Before the operation, his chance of survival virtually zero.
These are the body invaders. Kirsty Scott is a 21-year-old youth worker from Perth in Scotland. Her commute to the job she loves has always been uneventful, until the day she comes face to face with the body invader.
I thought, this is it. Maybe I might die.
December 19th, 2011, 8:45 a.m. It's Kirsty's last day at work before Christmas, and she's looking forward to the holidays. She's been staying over the weekend with Donald, her boyfriend of 18 months.
It was just a normal Monday morning. Got ready for work and about 8:30 left just to catch the bus down the road.
Overnight, the temperatures dropped to -3, and unbeknown to Kirsty, treacherous black ice has formed on the path.
I came out the doorway and there's one step with railings at either side. I lost my footing, so I ended up sliding right off the step and falling down hard to the right. And that's when I ended up going onto the spikes. The best way I can describe it is it felt like being punched in the nose from the inside.
Kirsty has been impaled through her chin onto the 13cm spike of the cast iron railing.
I just thought, right, I can't move, so I'm going to need to get help. And I screamed, and that was the worst part, because nothing happened. Nobody came.
Despite being impaled, Kirsty is still conscious. Amazingly, she's able to reach for her mobile phone and call her boyfriend in the flat above.
I couldn't really move my mouth, but I could make myself understood.
She just said, I'm gonna...
Ambulance emergency. Okay, tell me exactly what's happened. I'm not sure. My girlfriend just left my flat. Someone can do this. Okay, can you look out the window and see? Just so that we've got some idea of what's happened. This actually might be impaled on a fence. That's what it looks like. Right, okay, what part of us are impaled on the fence? Her face, but it looks good.
Donald rushes down to his girlfriend.
You say let her stop talk. Stop talk. Do what
I could feel it, like, inside my head. I thought, this is it. Maybe I might die.
Extraordinarily, at this point, Kirsty feels no pain. The impalement has caused nerves in the area to fire off a response. Within a fraction of a second, this impulse has travelled to Kirsty's brain, which in turn tells her body to release its natural painkiller, endorphins.
Because I was still conscious and in no pain, I thought, well, it can't really be as bad as it seems.
There was just a sort of little pool of blood in her mouth. The paramedics first on the scene are all too well aware of the desperate situation Kirsty is in.
This is spike here.
And where Kirsty was, and she was on her knees with her back to us. Our first reaction was it could have entered her brain.
As soon as they got there, they were straight on the walkie-talkies, like, we need the trauma doctor, we need the firemen up here straight away with cutting equipment. The firemen came up. They didn't blink. I'm sure they felt some shock, but the shock didn't show on their faces, and I thought, right, these guys are going to get me out of here. It's going to be okay.
The firemen face a unique challenge. They have just 10 centimeters on either side of Kirsty's head in which to work.
That was obviously a concern because we were going to be cutting away and to make sure that we weren't going to get a further injury.
Choosing the right cutting tool is critical.
Normally incidents where we're going to cut through vehicles, metal and other objects, we'd use heavy hydraulic cutting gear.
In Kirsty's case, the safest option is to use a simple hacksaw, but it's slow and labor-intensive.
We frequently changed the blade in the hacksaw because it became blunt very quickly, and we used that opportunity to change over the firefighters, just to ensure that no one was going to get too tired and the hacksaw wasn't going to slip and cause further injury.
After a painstaking 30 minutes and working in near-freezing temperatures, the firemen finally free Kirsty.
I came back from the railing and I could see it, and I could see the gap where I'd just been. I can't even describe how good and then bad that felt, because I thought, well, I'm off this railing now, but now what do we do? And that's when I cried.
10:14 a.m., 1 hour 29 minutes after her accident, Kirsty arrives at Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee. From his initial inspection, ENT surgeon Mr. Suresh Mahendran is amazed that Kirsty has survived.
The spike itself was 45 inches in it, so we literally had gone in that far.
To work out how to remove the spike, the doctors order x-rays. What they see astounds them.
You can see how close the spike came to the piece of bone that separates the brain from the actual eye and nasal cavity. It's in the region of 2 to 3 millimeters. This grey matter here is the brain.
The spike has missed Kirsty's brain by less than half a centimeter. She's so far avoided a major bleed, either from the initial impalement or while she was being removed from the railing. However, she now faces a new danger: suffocation. Swelling from the injury is starting to block her windpipe. Anaesthetist Dr. Sean McLeod must act fast to secure Kirsty's airway. The standard way to do this is to intubate. Insert a tube down the patient's throat via the mouth. But Kirsty's mouth is blocked by the spike, so the doctor takes the unusual step of intubating through her nose. Dr. McLeod uses an endoscope fitted with a tiny camera to determine if the route is clear.
As you advance, you can then turn it in any direction you want to go. Once you're in there, you pass this tube down into the windpipe.
The camera is removed, leaving Kirsty breathing through the empty tube. Only now can she be sedated.
This is a picture taken of Kirsty after she'd been intubated. What you can see clearly is the lower end of the spike that goes through her tongue, through her hard palate, and comes to lie on the inside of her eye socket.
The team's next pressing task is to devise a strategy to remove the spike without causing damage to the intricate web of blood vessels around Kirsty's mouth and nose. They order an angiogram of the area, which will highlight the vessels.
You can see that there are branches that come very close to the spike.
The spike is dangerously near the internal carotid artery, which carries oxygen-rich blood to the brain, and the external carotid artery, which supplies the face, neck, and scalp.
When we removed the spike, there was a risk that the blood vessel would then open, leading to quite a torrential hemorrhage.
To prepare for the worst, Mr. Mahendran brings in a colleague specializing in facial injuries. This surgeon treats soldiers in Afghanistan with frontline trauma injuries.
One strategy is to have placed in the external carotid arteries and to have the balloons inflated at the time of removal of the spike.
Two catheters are inserted into the bloodstream at Kirsty's groin and worked up into her neck. Each is tipped with a tiny balloon that will be inflated just before the spike is removed. This restricts the blood flow through the arteries and gives the surgeons a degree of control should there be a major bleed. 12:30 p.m. Just preparing Kirsty for surgery has taken 2 hours. Only now can Mr. Mahendran begin the task of extracting the spike from her head.
They told my mum there was a small risk of brain damage, obviously, because they couldn't completely know exactly where it had gone.
The doctors were telling us what the risks were. They explained the possibility of what they called catastrophic hemorrhaging. It crossed my mind on 1 or 2 occasions that she might die. Finally, the medical team begin the incredibly delicate task of removing the spike.
The spike was slowly removed, and we had a camera in the nose, and we were looking directly to see if any vessels started bleeding at that point.
Next, the surgeons cautiously deflate the balloon catheters, always watching for signs of a potential bleed.
And fortunately there was no major bleed noted.
With the spike removed, they assess the damage. The spike has left the vital blood vessels to Kirsty's face and brain intact. It has also missed her eyeball by millimeters. But an extensive wound remains to be treated. Doctors put stitches in Kirsty's tongue, but they leave the gap in the roof of her mouth to heal naturally. The mouth is one of the fastest healing places in the human body, despite being home to 1 million bacteria per milliliter of saliva.
While I was in the hospital, I got like a gum guard kind of thing, just to put over the hole in my palate, and so I could try and eat and drink, and nothing was going to come out my nose.
Kirsty remains in hospital for 4 days while doctors monitor her closely. The medical team are amazed she's suffered no lasting damage.
To have recovered the way she has with no deficit at all, I would say is a miracle.
Well, I remember one of the doctors coming round to see how I was doing, and I told him I had a headache, and he was just like, I'm not surprised.
In the event of an impairment like Kirsty's on a spike or post, the worst thing you can do is attempt to remove it. Keep the patient as calm and as still as possible, and call the emergency services, describing what the object is and where it is in the victim. Coming up, the killer takeaway. Just an hour after eating a single 4-centimeter French fry, this man is on the operating table with a massive internal injury and near fatal blood poisoning.
It's just a horrible complication that needs to be repaired immediately.
When Craig Harrison was rushed into hospital in Augusta, Georgia, USA, the outlook was poor.
Before the operation, his chance of survival were actually 0.
He had a devastating internal injury.
Kept going and going, and I've never seen a tear anywhere close to that.
Amazingly, this life-threatening injury came from the most unlikely of causes, a takeaway. One September Saturday morning, 43-year-old Craig treats his wife Carrie and his 3 children to a takeaway. He's first to tuck in.
I grabbed one French fry, chewed it up and swallowed it. There was nothing wrong with the fry, but it got stuck.
Craig can feel the French fry has lodged halfway down his gullet.
I coughed really hard, and that didn't work.
He actually had me at one point, patting him on the back, trying to loosen it.
So then I coughed as hard as I possibly could. I knew that I had moved the French fry, but there was a lot of pain.
And then he coughed up a small amount of blood.
My first reaction was to grab a large cup of sweet tea, and when I did, I felt that cold sweet tea spill into my chest. It burned, it hurt, it stung really bad, and I inherently knew something was wrong. I looked at Carrie and said, dial 911,
breathing. It's taking his breath. Okay, get some ice to you, okay? Thank you.
By now, the pain is intense. Craig and Carrie know something is seriously wrong.
It seemed like it took a long time for the ambulance to get there. I never experienced this type of pain before. And I look at Carrie and I just tell her, sweetheart, I'll always be with you and the kids.
And I told him I didn't want to hear it. That he was going to be fine. That we needed him.
The paramedics arrive to find Craig sweating profusely. His heart rate is galloping. They lose no time in getting him into the ambulance. 2:02 p.m. An hour and a half has passed since Craig ate the fry. At Doctor's Hospital, Augusta, he is rushed into the emergency room. Gastroenterologist Dr. Sunil Lal and heart and chest specialist Dr. Philip Catalano are called in. From his symptoms, rapid heart rate, labored breathing, weakness and shaking, the medical team suspects septic shock, a condition that could rapidly lead to multiple organ failure and death.
Septic shock is almost an overwhelming, huge amount of infection that gets in your body and then in your bloodstream, and your body's reaction to that is to shut down everything that's not absolutely essential.
Septic shock occurs as a result of severe sepsis, an inflammation of the whole body, often caused by an infection. It kills 150,000 people in the US each year and is a major killer worldwide. The trigger might be a minor illness or an untreated wound, but rarely a body-invading piece of potato. Doctors fear that Craig's fast food snack has caused a rip to his esophagus, the muscular plaque which carries food from the throat to the stomach. This could have caused the contents of his gut to spill into his chest cavity.
Our mouth and our gut is really not a sterile environment, so all the bacteria, fungal organisms basically leak out and start to set up an inflammatory response in that area. It's extremely dangerous because the patient becomes unstable, their blood pressure generally drops, and that infection that's set up there starts to affect the adjacent organs as well.
The only way to establish if this has happened to Craig is to do a CT scan. The minutes are ticking away. His condition is critical. The team has to act quickly. Craig must swallow a contrasting dye containing iodine, which is visible in the scan. If he has torn his esophagus, the dye will be seen spilling into his chest cavity. The doctor's worst fears are realized.
You see, this is the swallowing tube coming down. This area is leaking, big leak. This is all gross, terrible contamination. None of the dye or the contrast fluid is flowing into the stomach. It's just a horrible complication that needs to be repaired immediately.
The alarming levels of contamination in Craig's chest cavity suggest a devastating split to his esophagus. Dr. Catalano and Dr. Lal rush him into surgery.
Before the operation, his cancer survival virtually zero.
I needed to stay strong for me and for Craig and for our kids. If I allowed myself to break down, then it would have been a lot more difficult to keep going.
4:08 p.m. It's now nearly 4 hours since Craig ate a French fry. With the clock ticking, Dr. Catalano takes a scalpel and makes his first incision in Craig's chest.
It was swelled tight, and when I made the incision, it just blew out. It was pus under pressure that just blew into the operative field with blood and pus and French fry.
The doctors realize the damage is even worse than they thought. The 4-centimeter French fry has caused a tear to Craig's esophagus, a staggering 20 centimeters in length. It goes from his stomach all the way to the top of his chest.
Kept going and going, and it kept going. I've never seen a tear anywhere close to that.
What happened in Craig's case is when he ate this French fry, it got caught in his esophagus, and it initiated a lot of retching.
At the same time as Craig tried to vomit the French fry back up, the muscles in his esophagus constricted.
The pressure builds up and it usually tears the weakest point, which is usually right at the level of the diaphragm. This is almost an overwhelming injury that people will not survive from.
Neither surgeon has ever attempted to repair such a huge tear. Dr. Catalano suggests they try a new technique. This will be groundbreaking surgery for both men. Dr. Lau will try to place a stent or tube under the tear. The stent can be expanded and then collapsed inside the body to support Craig's damaged vessels as they are reconstructed. Dr. Lau uses a flexible endoscope to position the stent. Dr. Catalano brings the edges of the wound together and stitches them up, while the stent holds all in position.
Once he had the stent in place and deployed and open, I could bring the edges of the esophagus together, knowing that it looked really good now, but we certainly weren't out of the woods.
10:11 p.m. After 6 hours of surgery, Dr. Lau leaves the operating theatre in search of Craig's wife.
And when he came out, I was terrified because he looked absolutely exhausted. He looked like he had run a marathon.
I said, this is very serious. He wasn't going to just be in the hospital for a few days.
Craig is in hospital for over 3 months.
I asked my father yesterday. I was so excited.
He is heavily sedated throughout and experiences multiple complications.
Well, I think he could have died at, any time during his hospitalization. That injury is usually not compatible with life.
Dr. Catalano and Dr. Lau both have told me numerous times, Craig, you know you're not supposed to be here, right? And my response is always, yes, I am.
God truly performed a miracle in bringing Craig home to us. And I told the doctors you didn't only save Craig's life, but you saved my life and my kids.
Home can be a dangerous place, whether you're eating lunch or doing odd jobs. In Tucson, Arizona, this 86-year-old thinks he's safe enjoying his garden. Not so.
He had clippers buried into his eye.
Leroy Ledger is an active, healthy 86-year-old when he has an eye-watering encounter with a body invader. Tucson, Arizona. After more than 50 years hard graft in the food industry, Leroy is enjoying retirement with his partner, Arby.
He's a good man and a very soft-hearted individual and compassionate.
Their house and garden are Leroy's pride and joy. One morning in 2011, he's on his driveway pruning an overgrown ornamental shrub.
I had got the clippers and kept the stems of this flower off because they were all dried up, and was going to go and get the garbage can. And as I was going down the slope, I lost my balance and I fell right, my face flat on the sidewalk. I could feel the bones and everything in my face crushed. It was excruciating pain, and when I felt up here and I felt something up there, I didn't know if I had my glasses on or what it was at that point in time. I just took my shirt and put it up over me because I knew I was bleeding, and went into the garage, through the garage into the laundry room and called Arby.
Arby is around the back of the house, immersed in her book.
I heard, some like talking, and I thought he was talking to one of our neighbors, but I don't know what it was. Instinctively, it became where it didn't sound like conversation. So I came into the laundry room, and here Leroy was bent over the sink. When he stood up, I couldn't believe what I saw.
Leroy has plunged face first onto the clipper's protruding handle. It is propelled to the hilt in his eye socket.
And he said, take it out, take it out. And I said, I can't take it out.
Horrified and helpless, RP rushes to dial 911.
What's happening there? My husband was trimming with a little trimmer. Somehow he got the damn trimmer stuck in his eye. Okay, so he poked his eye with a trimmer? Yeah.
Bleeding, friction, eye injury, 86-year-old male poked his eyelids with tree trimmer. The trimmer still stuck in the eye area.
Medic Joey Kolsharowski has no idea the severity of the injury he's about to encounter.
When we were driving, we were looking on the screen and it said minor eye injury, and it said clippers in the eye. And we thought, clippers in the eye, clippings in the eye, it's just a simple error, somebody's talking fast, the dispatcher's typing fast, no big deal.
1:03 p.m. Joey heads into the house.
I saw Leroy's feet sticking out right here from the laundry room. His feet were kind of out in the hallway. I poked my head inside the door, and there was Leroy laying on his back. He had clippers sticking out of his eye. One whole handle was in his eye, not a little bit in his eye. It was buried into his eye, and the other handle was out, and the blade was pressed right up against his right eyebrow. I said, sir, and he answered me, and he moaned. I was kind of taken aback that he was awake and alive. And I said, close your left eye, because in our training they teach us that, your eyes move together as a team.
By covering the good eye to keep both eyes still, Joey hopes to prevent further damage.
My crew was just coming to the door, and I told them, I said, guys, this is real bad. We need to go, and let's go right now.
The crew get Leroy into the ambulance less than 4 minutes after arriving.
It seemed a lot longer to us when we're on scene. Time goes a little bit slower for us. We knew we were fast, which is important when somebody has a severe injury like that.
Station 155 emergency traffic, University.
1:37 p.m. at the University of Arizona Medical Center. News of Leroy's extraordinary injuries spreads like wildfire.
He had people coming in and out to see this tool in his face. It's a kind of a laughing, I have to chuckle about it, but it wasn't funny at the time.
10 kilometers down the road, leading eye surgeon Dr. Lynn Polonsky is at his practice when he receives a call from the hospital.
I was called by our chief resident of ophthalmology. She said, I can't really describe it, but I think it's a tool that they use for gardening. I said, okay, well, why don't you just send me an email? Just take a photo with your phone and just email it to me.
What Dr. Polonsky sees amazes him.
I've never seen anything like that. It was just unbelievable. I called her back and I said, I'll be in 20 minutes.
Dr. Polonsky arrives at the hospital. He finds a series of scans which provide astonishing pictures of Leroy's body invader.
So what we have here is a model of the skull, and we have the trajectory of how the handle had gone into his face and into his neck. That's where the handle was resting, and this was where it was compressing on the external carotid artery.
The carotid artery supplies blood to the head, neck, and brain. Damage to it could cause a fatal loss of blood when the shears are removed. The surgical team must find out if this vital artery is lacerated.
We knew that the handles were located in the neck, but we couldn't describe or see any major blood vessels.
Blood vessels do not show up on regular x-rays, so the team order an angiogram. A dye is injected into Leroy's bloodstream. The procedure itself can be risky.
While passing the catheter, you can dislodge plaques, which are made up of cholesterol and also calcium.
Plaques are deposits of cholesterol that accumulate in the arteries. The older the patient, the more chance of build-up. If the catheter dislodges plaques in Leroy's arteries, this could limit the flow of blood to the brain, causing a life-threatening stroke.
What we found was that there was no extravasation or leakage. There was no dissection of the carotid artery.
The arteries in Leroy's neck are unharmed. But there is another problem for Dr. Polonsky. The force of the impact has pushed Leroy's eyeball into the cavity beneath his brow bone.
We were thinking that the globe was most likely macerated and ruptured, which would be a catastrophe for Mr. Letcher.
With his spear hanging over them, Dr. Polonsky and his team begin the delicate task of removing the shears.
We were able to make a small incision underneath his gum line and able to open up his sinus to look and see the handle. And using an instrument called a coker, we were able to go in and loosen it up enough to where we felt comfortable about pulling out the shears.
As the shears are extracted, Leroy's eyeball descends. Astonishingly, it's unharmed.
We were really, just ecstatic that the globe was intact because we see a lot of ruptured globes for much less traumatic kinds of injuries.
Against all odds, Leroy still has a working eyeball. The challenge for Dr. Polonsky now is to reconstruct the patient's severely traumatized eye socket.
After we took out the instrument, we were able to open up the lacerations in his lower eyelid and see what kind of damage there was.
The bony structures of Leroy's eye socket, all of it, have been crushed to pieces.
He had lost the majority of his floor of his orbit, and so what we had to do is kind of remove the bony fragments. We had to elevate the tissue that had fallen into the hole.
After cleaning the wound, Dr. Polonsky embarks on a high-tech reconstruction of Leroy's eye socket using titanium mesh. Titanium is an excellent material for reconstructive surgery. It doesn't react with the body. It's easy to manipulate and maintains its shape.
We use a fan titanium plate that is then placed in here with titanium screws to reform the orbital rim and also to create a barrier for the orbital floor to give him good anatomy and good function for his eye.
6:11 p.m. 4 hours after Leroy's horrendous ordeal began, he is wheeled out of the operating theatre. Only 4 days later, he is discharged from hospital.
It's a miraculous recovery, and after that kind of a penetrating trauma, it's really unheard of. Most of the time they lose their eye or they have disfigurement or a problem with function, but Leroy, he's able to accomplish everything. He's back to almost 100%. And to get an outcome on an 86-year-old male, it's phenomenal. He's done exceptionally well.
So remarkable is Leroy's recovery that 1 year on, he's still to be found in his beloved garden.
To me, it's just amazing.
Happily using the very same shears to keep his shrubs in shape.
I can honestly say this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. This is hopefully the last time I'd see anything like this.
13,000 kilometers away on the other side of the world, it was a very different kind of leisure pursuit that led Australian Brett Clark into his close encounter with a body invader. A fishing trip which goes disastrously wrong.
I seen Simon there looking at me and I said, "What are you doing, mate?"
Brett lives in the beautiful coastal region of Victoria, Australia, and has always loved the sea. But on one day out, his passion for underwater pursuits leaves him fighting for his life on a remote beach. Brett moved from Canberra to Melbourne in search of a healthier lifestyle for his young family. At the weekends, when he's not on dad duty with his sons Thomas and Archie, he takes any chance he gets to head for the ocean to indulge in one of his favourite hobbies.
I like going out in the ocean. I love being near the ocean. I've been fishing, I guess, all my life. My dad was a keen fisherman. My mum was a keen fisherman. I've been spearfishing since I was about 15, so I've got a lot of experience in it.
Brett and a group of friends have made the trek out of the city to the remote coastline of Cape Schanck on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria.
That was the first dive of the season, so it was pretty exciting to go and to get down there and get amongst it.
Brett's using an underwater gun, which releases a 1.4 meter long steel spear at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. A vicious metal flange at the end of the pole stops the fish from escaping off the spear.
Got past the rock
I was just floating on the water, looking down, getting my bearings.
One of Brett's companions is 39-year-old Simon Witt.
I had the spear gun in the right hand. All of a sudden I felt a bump, and as I felt that bump, the spears just released automatically. I felt like a thump on my back. When I tried to pull the spear back, it was incredibly difficult. There was a bit of pain there, so I sort of popped up and spun around, and I seen Simon there looking at me, and I said, "What are you doing, mate?" Then I realised that the spear had released into Brett. It was like the whole world just slowed right down.
Simon's spear is released at high speed and at point-blank range into Brett's chest.
And he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." I said, "Sorry," and that's when I sort of reached down and felt the spear in my side. And the pain, because the movement of the spear and everything like that started coming in.
One of the group, Michael Blair, is still on the beach.
I heard someone yell at one of the guys yell out, Michael's been shot.
Brett's fishing trip has turned into a fight for his life against the lethal body invader.
If they have to carry me out there, I'm going to die. There's no way I can make it. Like, there's just not a hope in hell.
Australian Brett Clark is out spearfishing with his friends off a remote peninsula on the Victoria coast in Australia.
And all of a sudden I felt a bump. The spears just released automatically. That's when I sort of reached down and felt the spear in my side.
I heard someone yell at one of the guys yell out, Clark's been shot.
One of the group, Michael Blair, is an experienced surf lifesaver. He heads for his friends with no idea of the severity of Brett's injury.
Michael, he swam up in front of me, said, "What's going on?" And I put my arm over his shoulder and I said, "I'm shot, mate."
I could feel the spear coming out of his side, and I could feel the ropes around him, and so he was very vulnerable to drowning, and me drowning myself.
See, Clarky, lay flat, put your snorkel in, lay flat, I'm going to drag you in. I was really trying to keep my breath. I started feeling very faint. I just thought, I can't pass out. I cannot pass out here, I'm going to die.
It would have taken us 3 minutes to get back to the beach. It felt like, an hour or so.
I just thought, just concentrate on your breathing. If I'm breathing, and I know I'm breathing, I'm alive, and I'm not passed out.
On the beach, it's clear Brett's condition is worsening.
Pretty scary moment. I didn't think you'd make it off the beach.
I've thought about my boys. Although there's no way I'm not going to get in, I'm not going to die.
There's no phone signal on the beach. High on the cliff, a member of the public sees the turmoil and alerts the authorities. An air ambulance is scrambled. There's no emergency. Paramedic Carl Lee's on board.
Right from the start, we knew that it was going to be a life or death situation. We're flying above. It's naturally apparent that we weren't going to be able to land near the cliff face. The beach is very thin. The water is coming in. It doesn't leave a lot of area for a landing site.
The air ambulance crew make a tough decision.
Couldn't actually land as we would have preferred and shut the engines down for optimal safety. So we elected to what we call a hot exit.
With the helicopter hovering, the pilot skillfully touches down just long enough for Carl to jump out.
I would absolutely know it's he jumped out of the helicopter and came over and he took control and he told people exactly what to do.
Carl begins to assess Brett's condition. He immediately notices his laboured breathing and suspects damage to his lungs.
My biggest fear when I first assessed him was the fact that he could have had a tension pneumothorax.
Brett's left lung has been damaged by the spear. Escaping air is filling his chest cavity, putting pressure on his lungs and the blood vessels which supply his heart. This is known as a tension pneumothorax.
Every case of a pneumothorax or a tension pneumothorax will be different. However, with Brett's case, I was suspecting that he could have potentially had only minutes.
If the pressure is not released immediately, Brett could stop breathing and even go into cardiac arrest.
What I had to do was decompress his tension pneumothorax by inserting a large needle and catheter into that space and allowing for the air and or blood to drain out.
Carl must carry out a brutal procedure with extreme precision.
They got a scalpel, stuck it into his chest, and just heard this sort of, and there were some bloody bubbles coming out. And after that, Brett seemed to be able to breathe a lot more easily.
It's 1 hour 18 minutes since Brett was shot. The danger of immediate cardiac arrest is past. Brett's survival now depends on getting into hospital fast. The spear protruding from his body makes maneuvering him into the helicopter seem impossible.
I tried to get somebody to cut the spear off, but because it was about 5 to 7 mils of solid aluminium or steel, we were unable to hand cut it.
Another option is to stretcher Brett on a lengthy and treacherous hike back up the cliff.
It still would have taken a team of at least 6 to 8 people to carry him out across rocky beaches, upstairs. Every step that was made could have caused some sort of movement that would have been of great detriment to his condition.
As I was laying on my side looking at the stairs going, if they have to carry me out there, I'm going to die. There's no way I can make it. There's just not a hope anyhow.
Carl rejects the cliff path rescue as too dangerous. He has no option but to deal with the spear. He manages to bend the protruding part just enough to load Brett into the helicopter for the 12-minute flight to the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne. 2:03 p.m. It's now 1 hour 55 minutes since Brett was shot, and his condition remains critical.
He was very lucky to have arrived at hospital alive. So when the spear entered his body, it went through the skin and the side of his chest, shattered a rib on its way in, and then it entered the lung, and of course the lung offers no resistance, so it just passed in a straight trajectory right through the lung, missed his heart by about 1 centimetre, it missed his main pulmonary veins by just a few centimetres, and then it lodged at the back of his chest, having stopped against another end of a rib.
Dr. Silvana Marasco has personal experience of how deadly this weapon can be.
My husband is a spear fisherman. I knew something about the spear that comes out of a spear gun, and I was a little bit concerned about the flange at the end of the spear. We had to be very careful. We couldn't really remove it easily the way it had gone in, because the flange would open and tear a huge hole in the lung on the way out.
Brett is rushed into theatre as Dr. Marasco and her team prepare for major open chest surgery.
When I first opened the chest, all I could see was the spear disappearing into the lung. I had to put my hand in and feel where the tip of the spear was. We were quite relieved to see there didn't seem to be any other major damage, and it was really just lung damage and no major blood vessels had been torn.
Dr. Marasco carefully lifts Brett's lung and twists it. She then extracts the spear by pulling it out through the top end of the lung.
We were able to remove the spear very carefully and then just staple off the lung and just wash out the chest just to make sure no organisms had been introduced by the spear.
The surgery is a success, and after just 1 hour on the operating table and 6 days in hospital, Brett is discharged. But it's some time before he's ready to get back in the water.
I think it took me about 8 to 12 months, somewhere around that time, to get back out there. And I guess I must say I was a little bit nervous going back out there because there was a group of us, and I just said, I'll be fine, I'll be at the back.
Brett's endured a vicious attack on his life. Body invaders attack indiscriminately. But as we've seen, the human body has an incredible capacity to survive. It's especially when helped by the expertise, ingenuity, and quick thinking of people around us.
If you've got the stomach for it, there are plenty more extreme cases of injury for you to peruse online. X-rays, photos and shocking videos